I'm more scared of people than ghosts, and here's why. The shadows in Emily's room danced even when the lights were on. Not playful shadows, but long, grasping ones that seemed to reach for her. 8 years old. 8 years of seeing things that made seasoned cops shudder. My name is Sarah Walker. I'm a social worker, Child Protective Services. I've seen enough darkness to last several lifetimes, but Emily was different. My first visit to the Thompsons' house was unsettling even before I saw Emily. The house itself was unnervingly pristine, almost sterile. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, a middle-aged couple who radiated a practiced kindness, ushered me into the living room offering tea and platitudes about how lucky they were to have Emily. She's a sweet girl, Mrs. Thompson said, her smile a little too wide, a little too fixed. Just a little withdrawn. Traumatized, you know, traumatized was an understatement. When Emily finally appeared, she looked like a ghost. Pale skin, haunted eyes, and a silence that was heavier than any words she could have spoken. She clung to the doorframe, watching me with a wariness that broke my heart. Emily, dear, say hello to MS. Walker, Mr. Thompson prompted, his voice sharp despite the saccharine tone. Emily didn't say a word, she just stared, her eyes darting around the room as if searching for an escape route, or perhaps she was searching for something else. That night, sleep eluded me. I tossed and turned, replaying the encounter in my mind. Something about the Thompsons felt off. Their forced cheerfulness, the overly clean house, Emily's palpable fear, it all added up to a knot of unease in my stomach. The next day, I decided to pay Emily a visit at school. I wanted to talk to her alone without the Thompsons' hovering presence. I found her sitting alone on a swing set, her small body almost swallowed by the seat. "Hi, Emily," I said, approaching slowly. She looked up, her eyes widening slightly. "He's watching," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Who's watching, Emily?" She didn't answer. She just looked past me, her gaze fixed on something in the distance. Something I couldn't see. "The tall man," she finally said, her voice trembling. "He's always watching." The tall man. It was the first time she'd mentioned him, but it wouldn't be the last. Over the next few weeks, Emily spoke of him more and more. Always in whispers, always with a look of terror in her eyes. She described him as a shadowy figure, impossibly tall, with eyes that burned like coals. He lived in the shadows, she said, and he was always waiting. I tried to rationalize it. Post-traumatic stress, I told myself. An overactive imagination, but something about the way Emily spoke, the sheer terror in her voice, made it impossible to dismiss. Detective Olson didn't buy it, of course. He was a seasoned cop. Seen it all, heard it all. Traumatized kid sees shadows, he said, shrugging. Happens all the time, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to it, something darker. I started digging into the Thompsons' background. Nothing concrete, just little things. Whispers from neighbors about strange noises, late-night visitors, and a general sense of unease surrounding the house. Then I found it, a connection to the Ainsworth family. Alina Ainsworth. The Thompsons were her distant relatives, and Alina Ainsworth had a history of accusations, whispers of occult practices, and a series of disappearances. Blackwood Manor. It was a crumbling, abandoned mansion on the outskirts of town, rumored to be haunted. Local legend said that Alina Ainsworth had used it for rituals, for sacrifices. It was just a story, of course, a ghost story. But it sent a shiver down my spine. One night, I couldn't sleep. The image of Emily's terrified face kept replaying in my mind. I decided to pay the Thompsons another visit, just to check on her. The house was dark and silent. I rang the doorbell, but no one answered. I tried the door. It was unlocked. I stepped inside, my heart pounding in my chest. The air was thick with a strange, musty odor. I called out, but only silence answered. I made my way through the house, my flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. The living room was empty, so was the kitchen. But then I heard something, a faint whimper coming from upstairs. I crept up the stairs, my hand gripping the flashlight tightly. The whimpering grew louder. It was Emily. I found her in her room, huddled in a corner, her eyes wide with terror. "He's here," she whispered. "The tall man is here." I looked around the room, but I saw nothing. Just shadows. "Emily, it's okay," I said, trying to soothe her. "I'm here, you're safe." But she didn't seem to hear me. Her gaze was fixed on something behind me, something I couldn't see. I turned around slowly, my heart pounding in my chest, and then I saw her. Alina Ainsworth, standing in the doorway, her eyes gleaming in the darkness. She was smiling, but it wasn't a kind smile. It was a predatory smile. "You shouldn't be here," she said, her voice soft but menacing. "This is not your place." I knew then that Emily wasn't just seeing shadows. She was seeing something real, something dangerous. I grabbed Emily's hand and ran. We fled the house, leaving Alina Ainsworth standing in the doorway, her smile widening. I took Emily back to my apartment. She was safe there for now, but I knew that Alina Ainsworth wouldn't let us go. She wanted Emily, and I had no idea why. I called Olson, but he still didn't believe me. "Look, Sarah," he said, "I appreciate your concern, but this sounds like a lot of, well, frankly, it sounds like a lot of hooey. Old lady, a spooky house, a traumatized kid. It's all circumstantial." "Olson, Emily is in danger," I pleaded. I saw a leaner Ainsworth. She's not just some harmless old woman. There's something wrong with her. Something evil. He sighed. Okay, Sarah, he said. I'll look into it, but don't get your hopes up. That night, Emily and I stayed up late talking. She told me about the tall man, about the rituals that a leaner Ainsworth performed at Blackwood Manor, about the things she had seen. Things that no child should ever have to see. She said that a leaner Ainsworth wanted to use her, that she was special, that she had a power that a leaner Ainsworth needed. I didn't understand what she meant, but I knew that I had to protect her. I had to stop a leaner Ainsworth. The next day, Olson called me. I found something, he said, his voice grave, about a leaner Ainsworth, about Blackwood Manor. You were right, Sarah. There's something wrong there. He told me that a leaner Ainsworth had been under investigation for years, suspected of involvement in several disappearances, but they never had enough evidence to charge her. Blackwood Manor, Olson said. It's a mess. We found evidence of rituals of animal sacrifices and something else, something darker. He said that he was sending a team to Blackwood Manor to search the property. He asked me to come with him. I hesitated. I didn't want to go back to that place, but I knew that I had to, for Emily. We arrived at Blackwood Manor at dusk. The house was even more terrifying in the daylight. Crumbling walls, broken windows, and an oppressive silence that seemed to swallow all sound. Olson and his team fanned out, searching the property. I stayed close to Olson, my heart pounding in my chest. We found the ritual room in the basement. A stone altar stained with blood, strange symbols painted on the walls, and an overwhelming sense of dread. This is where she did it, Olson said, his voice grim. This is where she performed the rituals. I felt a chill run down my spine. I could almost feel the presence of something evil in the room. Then we heard a scream. It came from upstairs. We raced up the stairs, our guns drawn. We found Officer Johnson lying on the floor, his eyes wide with terror. The tall man, he gasped. He's here. I saw him. Olson looked at me, his eyes questioning. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know if the tall man was real or just a figment of Emily's imagination. But then I saw it. A shadow, moving in the corner of the room. A tall, impossibly tall shadow. Olson saw it too. His eyes widened and he raised his gun. Who's there? He shouted. The shadow didn't answer. It just stood there, watching us. Then it moved. It lunged at Olson, knocking him to the ground. I screamed and grabbed a nearby candlestick, swinging it at the shadow. It connected, and the shadow recoiled. Olson scrambled to his feet and fired his gun. The shadow flickered, then disappeared. We stood there, panting, our hearts pounding in our chests. Had we really seen something? Or was it just our imaginations, fueled by fear and superstition? We need to find a leaner Ainsworth, Olson said, his voice grim. Now. We searched the house, but she was gone, vanished without a trace. We found Emily in the attic, tied to a chair. A leaner Ainsworth was standing over her, chanting in a strange language. Get away from her, I shouted, rushing forward. A leaner Ainsworth turned to face me, her eyes blazing with anger. You can't stop me, she said. She belongs to me. She raised a knife, preparing to strike Emily. I lunged at her, knocking the knife from her hand. We wrestled on the floor, fighting for control. Olson rushed forward to help me, but a leaner Ainsworth was surprisingly strong. She fought like a wild animal. Finally, I managed to pin her down. Olson handcuffed her and dragged her away. I untied Emily and hugged her tightly. It's over, I said. You're safe now. But I didn't believe it. I knew that the evil that had haunted Emily, the evil that lurked within a leaner Ainsworth, was not easily defeated. A leaner Ainsworth was arrested and charged with kidnapping and assault. But she never confessed to anything. She just sat in her cell, silent and unrepentant. Emily was placed in a new foster home far away from the Thompsons and a leaner Ainsworth. She started therapy, and slowly she began to heal. But the tall man never left her. He was always there in the shadows, watching. And sometimes, when I close my eyes, I can still see him too, standing in the corner of the room, his eyes burning like coals. I'm more scared of people than ghosts, because ghosts are what we imagine, and people are what we create. The Ainsworths, the Thompsons, the evil that latches onto the vulnerable. That's the real horror. A few months later, I got a call from Olson. He sounded shaken. Sarah, he said, a leaner Ainsworth is dead. She died in her cell last night. What happened? I asked. They don't know, he said. The guards found her slumped over in her bed. No signs of struggle, just dead. He paused. There was something else, he said. Something strange. Scratches on the walls of her cell. Long, deep scratches, like something tall had been trying to get out. I didn't say anything. I just hung up the phone. I knew then that it wasn't over, that the evil had not been contained, that it was still out there, waiting for its next victim. Emily is safe for now, but I still see the shadows. I still hear the whispers. And I know that one day the tall man will come for her again, and there's nothing I can do to stop him.